Welcome back. Well, the renegotiated NAFTA is on its way to Canadian ratification, just as the Vice President of the U.S. wings his way to Ottawa tomorrow. Let's discuss both with Canada's ambassador to the U.S. David MacNaughton joins us from Washington. Ambassador, Mike Pence is coming, but he doesn't really need to sell the deal to us. Isn't the sales pitch problem in his own backyard?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there are some struggles here, but I think that there's progress being made. I've talked to a number of the Democrats, and while they have some issues around some of the provisions in the new NAFTA, I think ultimately they will recognize.
I hope they recognize. Okay, is Canada's move?
This is actually a good deal.
Yeah, is Canada's move, Ambassador, the key to getting the Democrats and the Republicans sort of doing the kumbaya thing down there and moving it forward? Is this really an inspiration to them?
Well, no, I think what happened was that we said to them, and I've been saying to the administration for several months now, that there was no way that we were going to proceed with our legislation until the 232 tariffs were removed. And I think they finally accepted the fact that that was the case. And so now that the tariffs are removed, it is time for us to move ahead, and we'll pace our legislation. Obviously, the House of Commons is going to have its say, so is the Senate, but we're going to try and do it in lockstep with the Americans.
All right. I mean, I don't know. The Democrats say they want changes. I always thought this deal was a take it or leave it deal. Can you get into the weeds and amend this thing, or is this untouchable?
You know, what we've said, and I reiterated when I met with a group of the Democrats a couple of weeks ago, is that from our perspective, all three countries agreed to a deal. A deal is a deal. And so, you know, we're proceeding on the assumption that there won't be any changes. I think once you open it up, it gets, it's like Pandora's box. And so, there may be some tweaks in terms of the wording, but I think to try to open up the agreement again would be challenging.
Oh, yeah. Well, is there anything else Mike Pence is coming to Ottawa for? Is this a Chinese assistance visit, or is he here to serve notice on Huawei and our 5G networks? What's he got on his agenda?
Well, I think, we will be talking about some of the things that we are working on together, like Venezuela. There are issues, obviously, around China that with our two citizens that are being held, essentially held hostage. There are a number of issues that we want to talk to him about, and he's going to want to talk to us about. But originally when they said to me that he was going to come up, it was when the 232 tariffs were still on. And I think it's going to be a far different visit now that they're off. I think it'll be a much happier discussion now that they're gone.
But we keep asking the U.S. for help paving the way to better Chinese relations. We got detainees, as you well know, there. Is there anything Pence can offer Canada in this visit? Because we are doing it for the U.S.
Yeah, and we will definitely, I'm sure the Prime Minister will raise it with him. I don't know what his response has been. Certainly Minister Freeland has been raising it with Secretary Pompeo. I've raised it with the White House several times. We are following the law and our treaty obligations, but it's really unfortunate that we are paying the price for simply doing what our law suggests and what our treaty obligations are. And we've made that point to the Americans.
And as you well know, the U.S. is quite keen to keep Huawei out of 5G network development, and Canada hasn't made that decision whether to allow it or not yet. Do you suspect Pence is going to say the U.S. wants you on side with this?
Well, the U.S. has said that several times, not just to us, but to other countries. And, what we have said consistently is that our security and intelligence people are doing a thorough review. We are going to listen to the advice of our experts and make a decision based on security issues, not necessarily, I mean, obviously we want to work with our allies, but it's important that you do a thorough security review and base the decision on that.
All right. I don't know how diplomatic this is, but the Prime Minister says he's going to raise women's reproductive rights being eroded in the U.S. With the very anti-abortion Vice President. Is that smart diplomacy in your view?
Well, I think the Prime Minister answered that question earlier on his way into to the House of Commons for question period, and I think I will defer to him in terms of that issue.
That's a very diplomatic answer, Ambassador. All right. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time.
You. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow.